Okay, we're ready. So, again, thanks for joining us. Taste-Wise Kids, here we are, literally TWK at home. So Elena has started with us, so we're going to show her your picture, so she is going to describe it. So one of the things I love to do after we ask kids to do anything, and many of you already who are doing this at home with your kids, I'm sure on a daily basis, is always ask your kids about what they drew. And the best way to do that is through open-ended questions, because you never know what their thinking is. And so instead of saying, oh, isn't that a... So for example, this could be an apple or a strawberry or what is it? So usually I would say, tell me about your picture.
It's an app. The person's eating an apple, and I drew the the four senses that he was using to try the apple, because he never ate an apple before. He used his eyes, his nose, his mouth, and his fingers.
Awesome. And what's the sense that you didn't put into that one? What's the fifth one?
Ear.
Ears.
Because you don't hear an apple.
Well, you're right. You don't typically hear an apple because you hear it go crunch. Is it possible that you could hear that? So that's just one sort of fun activity, is ask kids to draw silly pictures. And if anyone is drawing a silly picture and wants to post it as a comment, we'd love to see it. Also, if you're watching this after it's gone live, you're also welcome to post a comment, and we'll definitely take a look at it. One of the things that we really want to do through Taste-Wise Kids at home is to interact with you. We want to answer... Elena, come back here, please. Come back here, please. We want to answer your questions, get your suggestions of things that you think would be helpful or that we could help provide you through our content in the coming weeks and months. We want to make this something that we've wanted to do for a long time, and sort of a silver lining of this stay-at-home time is that we have been able to pivot our programming online, but we also want to continue that once we're back to being out and about again. And so we would love to hear any and all ideas that you have around what you'd like to see and learn about food. So fun activity quickly is to draw some sort of silly character related to food. You could also, especially with older kids, ask them to turn this into a cartoon, write a song about it, write a story about it if you're trying to get your kids to write. You could have them write a rap for it, create music around it. So just a very simple activity that you can kind of extend in a lot of different ways. So we love to combine art and food, especially at our house. I will say probably my drawing skills have gotten much better over the past few weeks, right? At least I've had a lot more practice. So that's one thing we want to do. Then another thing we want to talk about kind of from the five senses, and this is Elena's probably favorite activity, is some of us may know this, but your sense of smell is really connected to your sense of taste. And there's a lot of different ways to demonstrate that, but the favorite, and this is something we do with our Days of Taste program in fourth graders, and it's definitely a highlight, is to try to prove this.
Close your nose and eat a jelly bean.
That's right. So what you do is you ask kids to take a jelly bean, to close their nose before they put it near their face, because you can smell it pretty fast. So once they're holding their nose, they put the jelly bean into their mouth and start chewing. And usually we ask them, can you tell us what the flavor is? And oftentimes they can't, because you...
Is it kind of sugary?
Yeah, it pretty much kind of is sugary, right?
Ew.
And then open your nose as you finish chewing. Can you figure out what the flavor is?
Like bubble gum.
Bubble gum. So this helps.
Is that correct?
I didn't look. She wants to know if it's correct. I'm not sure. There's a lot of different labels on here. So if you have jelly beans lying around, you are welcome to do it with jelly beans. You can also do it with different like flavored juices. But sometimes you might want to. You can also do it like with like different like flavored apples. Like you can do more sweet versus saltless tart. This was not a favorite jelly bean. So there's lots of different ways you can do that, but it really is a very clear. You can go get a drink of water. You can get a drink of water. Okay. You can also have another extra one. But so this is a way to make it very clear that your sense of smell and your sense of taste are connected. And then we often talk about if you think about how when you have a cold, your food doesn't taste the same. It's the same idea. Your sense of smell and your sense of taste really are connected. So that's one fun activity that you can do at home. And then another fun thing to do is you can have any more jelly beans, is do a taste test. So when we talk about our different tastes, there really are 4 different tastes, and we're going to get more into this next week in our content, and we actually are going to have some more activities and write-ups of this. But in the meantime, I'll give you a preview that it's really fun to have kids taste different flavors. And you can do this again a couple different ways. We have on our website a couple of different sheets. We have a tasting sheet that helps you sort of walk through what 2 different things taste like. And we also have one of my favorite worksheets that we have is words other than yuck and yum. So we have a whole list of them.
Which is don't yuck my yum.
Right. Don't yuck my yum is a very important rule in our house and with Taste Wise Kids.
So that...
Yeah, go ahead. You want to explain it? Yeah, you want to explain it?
It means if somebody likes an apple, you say, I don't like it, you don't like it then.
Right, so you don't want, someone might like one thing, but other people might like different things. So we don't want to make someone feel bad about liking something, right? Because everyone has different tastes. So a couple of things to do even before you do the taste test is to use your 5 senses to describe food. So kind of like Elena did with her drawing, you could take one food, like, how about this lime? What do you want to choose?
I'm going to take an apple slice.
Okay, an apple slice. So first you could say, and if you have a magnifying glass, you can get out a magnifying glass and have the kids look for it. She's going to go find the magnifying glass. And so you can talk about what does it look like? Does it look different? Is it hard? Is it soft? What color is it? And then you can, sorry, I mix those up. You can talk about what it looks like. Then you can touch it and say, what does it feel like? Is it hard? Is it soft? Is it bumpy? And then you can also, of course, smell it. It's often fun to talk about with apples, for example, that as they get older, they get more mushy, so their texture changes. So you can smell it. You can listen to it. Another way with apples, for example.
It kind of sounds like bubbly.
It was bubbly. Okay. Maybe because we just cut it. Oh, I have to listen. That might also be because you're touching it with your hair and you're hearing your hair touch the apple. But so you talk about if you hear it, if you can hear it, like we talk about if you take a bite into an apple and it's nice and crunchy sometimes, and other ones you don't. So if it's mush, you don't hear that crunch, it might not be the best apple. And then of course you can do some tasting as well. So again, sort of working on those 5 senses related to the apple. And then as you can explore, so you can taste it. There was that crunch we talked about, right? So you can explore a single food with all 5 senses, and then you can do a taste test talking about bitter, sweet, salty, and sour. Yeah, and try to pick different. Yes, you might eat it. So you can try different foods. So we just put a couple of things on our plate to give you some ideas for that. And again, there'll be more on this coming up next week. We'll have a whole lesson on this. But so sour, things like lemons, limes. You can talk about sweet. We have apples and grapes. Sometimes grapes can be more sour, so they can go either way. Salty, like salted nuts. Pretzels are a good salty food that you might have around. Again, use whatever's in your house. You can be completely creative about this. Another way to do this instead of food is like with powders. You can use salt and sugar, and cocoa powder is bitter, even though it has that nice chocolatey flavor. And something that we do with 4th graders that you guys can do if you have it at home is to start combining flavors. So if you take a little bit of the bitter chocolate and add it with a little sugar, that's usually the kind of chocolate that we know, because that is the combination of the bitter and the sweet. So going back to our plate here, we also have, what are these?
Coffee beans that we can make coffee out of.
Right, and what flavor does that typically have?
Umami.
Okay, so umami, which is the 5th flavor, or also bitter. So in our house, we've just started talking about umami, and we'll also have a really cool video about that next week to talk a little bit about what that flavor is like. So you can do it with younger kids. Yes, you can try it. With younger kids, you can just do it by looking at it. If you want, with older kids, you can use a blindfold so they can't see it and try to guess the flavors. You could,
can I do
yes, you can make a game of it and have them write it down and make it into like a creative. Could you make a meal with all of these things? So again, you can do all kinds of things with the.
Mommy, after
yes.
can you try this? And then
yes.
I'm gonna try a food that I can't. And then you give me a food.
But you're gonna be able to taste.
And I can't see what food you give me. I'm like.
Okay, so we're gonna demonstrate this part of it for you guys, and then we have one more little activity that we can share as well. All right. And again, please, as you work on this, give us your ideas. What is a favorite food that you guys discovered that might be bitter or salty? Because we'd love to hear from you as well. Okay, so ready?
It was ramen.
It was an almond, so describe the flavor though.
Kind of salty, and I can, the taste of it was salty, and I could hear the crunchiness.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. You could hear it. So again, you're talking about the 5 senses. So a really fun activity to do over a meal or also just in general. And then last thing, because that's kind of fun to do again with your 5 senses, is to make some collages. And with that, you can use really simple things. We just grabbed some of our old magazines, the newspaper, some random shaped paper that we keep, and then some other fun things around the house like tape. And we made this morning for you guys 2 different collages. A couple things you can do with this. You can do, so I picked one sense of touch, and I started cutting out pictures that showed sort of the idea of touch, and then also, and this could be combined into one activity or 2, starting to say like, so what is something that's smooth, like a piece of paper, like a piece of tissue paper, something that is rough, some little pebbles. So that would be one activity that kids could do. Again, for older kids, you could make this more elaborate. They could then also, or they could write a cartoon as like the main character could be a character like Mr. Touch or Mrs. Smell, something along those lines. So you can sort of tailor it to your age group. And then Elena made, she decided, what did you make? You want to hold it up?
I made 5 cents critty.
5 cents critty. So she decided to put all of them together. Yep, she's going to tell you a little bit about it.
So for them, like the little stomach, I had a sweater to make it soft. I put a pom-pom on it, and then the arms are these hard toothpicks that I put in that were from the kitchen.
Yep, we did a scavenger hunt in our kitchen.
And then one of the other senses that I put on here was here. I put an ear. I cut out an ear from a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forgot 1 sense, so I just it was taste. So I put a fish on it because you taste the fish. And then you feel the tape, so I put tape as the leg, so you feel the tape. And then I put the eyes so you can see. And then I put the nose. But I put the sun. It's kind of weird that I put a sun on here, but it's the sun because you can feel the sun.
Right. So that would be sort of a part of the taste. So that, just another creative way.
And then this is the hand that I drew that signs for touch.
Yeah, thank you. Very good description. So one of the biggest things I want to sort of say is use food to make it fun. Feel free to feel like you don't have to focus on food. You can obviously build in art. You could build in music, all kinds of other activities that your kids like. And thank you for joining us today. We'll continue to provide you some videos, activities. So please remember to like us, tag us, follow us on social so that you can continue to get this information. We'll also be having, as I said, every Tuesday, our TWK at Home series will be new content will be provided every Tuesday via our Tastewise Kids website and blog. And reach out to us with questions, comments, and other ideas to continue this learning. We hope that you had a little bit of learning and lots of fun, and that's really our goal here at Tastewise Kids, is to make food fun, and while kids begin to build their knowledge and hopefully build some more positive and healthy eating habits. So thanks so much, and take care, and we'll talk to you soon.